I'm looking at the global number of COVID-19 cases. We had a peak in April of 2021 and the second one in August. And if we draw a line in between these two peaks, you can see that the current peak is already past that line. And that's a worrying trend, right? That we've broken out of this tunnel that COVID-19 cases were in. Now let's look at the deaths for the global number of COVID-19 deaths. This is also worrying because if we draw a line in between these two peaks, the death rate has also climbed out of it. I also want to point out that it is November 23rd, and if we compare against last November 23rd, despite all the vaccines that we've taken, the number of deaths has not reduced, right? Especially in the United States, it's actually gone up, right? From this time last year, we had 1,607 deaths on a rolling 7-day average. Now, well, I guess it has decreased a little bit, but relative to the number of vaccines we've given, almost nothing, right? And for most of the year, it was actually higher than it was a year previous, right? I just want to point that out, right? You might say that, well, we've reopened a whole lot more compared to last year. I actually think we have much more precautions than last year, right? Last year I spent some time in Wallace, Idaho. Nobody was wearing a mask, if I remember correctly. I was a little bit dismayed because I have social anxiety problems. And I would go to the bowling alley and they were open. At the beginning, in October, they were only open 50% capacity. But by December, they were trying 100% capacity. I was kind of dismayed because I have social anxiety problems, and I really loved the social distancing for a completely different reason, and they stopped it very early, and now they've been forced to bring it back. Let's take a look at Germany, where all the outbreaks are happening right now. That's the number. Well, they have they don't have such a high death rate now, but they have a huge. Now, I believe they have a variant, either mu or lambda. Now, the interesting thing about death rate versus cases is that the lower the death rate, that the easier it is for the variant to spread because people are actually living to spread it, right? But right now they have 53,000 cases. I actually wish we didn't worry so much about this because we have a very low death rate variant, which is allowing it to spread. This is probably how COVID-19 is going to die out, right? The variants are going to get less deadly, but more spread a whole lot more, and eventually it will just become something like the common cold, right? And yet we're looking at this as a reason to give even more vaccines when this is how evolution tends to kill off viruses, right? The variants are more deadly, tend to just die with the people who get them. So we have 53,000 is the rolling average. But what's the population of Germany? Population of 83 million. So in not so much time, the number of people in Germany who are all infected will everybody in Germany will become infected in about, at this rate, 1,000 days. But also the rate is climbing, right? So probably a year. Give it a year or so, and let it play out, right? Another thing we could look at is how about the United States? And the death rate. Now take a look at these two peaks. At least we haven't broken the trend line for the death rate in the United States. Who knows?